Wherever you go, you shine. You need to know you shine. Anything you wanna be. 'Cause you give me hope when you shine. Wherever you go, you shine. You need to know you shine, shine. Anything you wanna be. 'Cause you give me hope when you shine. 'Cause you give me hope when you shine. Good morning, everybody. All right, good to see everyone once again on this beautiful Sunday. It is beautiful, right? It can rain sometimes.
Yeah.
But tonight's gonna be cold, so I know that's coming. After the rain comes the cold. All right, gentlemen, are you ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if there's a place there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. While the door's unlocked, lights are on. What are you waiting for? Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. You'll find the place of rest in the arms of spirit. God's waited so long for your homecoming day. God knows the peace you seek and the hurt you're feeling. Spirit wants to hold you and to wipe the tears away, while the Father waits with open arms. God is calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Well, there's room enough in the house of love for someone just like you. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, it's come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, it's come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, yes, come on in.
Good morning, everybody. I know the snowbirds among us are probably laughing at us and happy to come out in just rain, right? And cold tonight, I guess, for them is very relative, too. But we like to get out our slippers and our thermal jammies and enjoy it. If you haven't met me yet, I'm Bev Spivey. I co-minister here with my wonderful husband, Reverend Lawrence Palmer. We look forward to meeting you. And today, we have our music director checking us out from the rear. Hello, James. James McCoy.
Good morning. Good morning. Just making sure everything's working. We have Mr. John Rose at the piano this morning. And we have this guy who came in off the street and said, "I play the drums. Where are my charts?" Well, I'm sorry. What's your name again? This is Jeff Renza at the drum set. And we have Samantha Natalie as our featured soloist today. And we have music from Michael Gott this morning.
Yeah, our good friend Michael Gott. Some of you know of him. He's senior minister now at Unity of Houston, which is a big church, and a special friend to some of us. So nice to have his music. All right, to our live streamers. Lawrence and I thought of live streaming this morning as we sat there watching the rain. It's so nice to stay in bed. Good for you. Don't forget that. Welcome. Don't forget the donate button is there. No, seriously, to you live streamers, we do appreciate you tuning in, joining with our community. If you're not familiar, everybody here, with live stream, it's on our website, unitypompanobeach.org. Also, podcasts are there that you can listen to the 20-minute section of the service that John clips from the live stream. It's just the audio, so you can hear the lesson whenever you like. And there's a whole list of them there on our website. So go to our website for all kinds of information like that, and also our events. But today we start out with our new theme for this year, One Humanity, Many Stories. And we really look forward to hearing stories and thinking of each other's stories of how we got to where we are in life and being grateful for it. So this month, Grace is our monthly theme that Lawrence will be speaking on in our Sunday lessons. So won't you join me in this affirmation? Grace is an upward pull of the universe, lifting me to the heights of divine nature. And we want to remember our vision. Together, centered in God, we create an ever-expanding spiritual community of one. And our mission statement: we are a spiritual beacon of inspiration, abundance, and enlightenment. And let's close our eyes for some centering prayer this morning as we breathe in together and we relax into this day. Even the rain this morning has a relaxing factor to it. We can feel the birds and the trees and the plants being so happy to have natural rainwater on them. We're thankful for so many things that we enjoy here in South Florida. We bless each other this morning as we open our hearts to love and insight and understanding and enjoyment in our fellowship time with each other. So giving gratitude for all of this, we move into this day, and so it is. Amen. And won't you join me in our congregational prayer this morning, which is the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. And let's all stand now and sing.
Here's a little song we got from Unity Village. Fred Bogart and Sue Riley out there in Unity Village. So, 1, 2, 3.
choosing my way. There's a voice inside to guide me along. I am spirit-led, spirit-fed. Everywhere and always I am spirit-led. I am spirit-led, spirit-fed. Everywhere and always I am spirit-led. I am spirit-led, spirit-fed. Everywhere and always I am spirit-led. I am spirit-led, spirit-fed. Everywhere and always I am spirit-led. Everywhere and always I am spirit-led. Everywhere and always I am spirit-led.
And if you're here for the first time, we want to give you a special welcome. Let you know that indeed we do welcome you. So if you are here for the first time, would you raise your hand? We just have a brochure to give you. Welcome here. And as all of you know, that brochure talks about what Unity is. There is a contact information form in it if you'd like to be on our email list. And there's also a prayer request. So prayer is very important here, and we have a wonderful team of chaplains who have dedicated their life to praying every day with the consciousness of holding us all in the love and light of Spirit, and blessing especially on our facility and our community here, not just in Pompano, but all of South Florida and beyond. So if you have a prayer concern, there are also blue slips in those folders in the chair backs. If there's not one in your chair, bump down the row with your neighbors until you find one, and let us join you in your prayers. And we have chaplains that do it here, and then we send them on to Unity Village for a month. They are prayed over. So a chaplain is available for you a half hour before every service in the first room on the right, going down that breezeway hallway, the prayer chapel. Sunday sessions. Although it's the third Sunday, today's Sunday sessions, and I forgot to announce the delay of it last week. We have so much going on here, as you've noticed, so sometimes we have to move a few things. So Lawrence will have Sunday sessions today from 12:30 to 1:30 right here. We also have our used book store. And I haven't been announcing this, and many of you don't realize we have it. So when you go into Fellowship Hall, there are French doors on your right. If you go through there, you'll see our used bookstore. Now, I know a lot of you are like, yay, I can take in my used books. But guess what? We want you to buy a book and take it home and read it, and then bring it back again. So we want to recycle through our books. Lawrence and I especially have hundreds of them on our shelves. Bring books in if you like, but more importantly, take books out. For a couple dollars, you can have a book, enjoy it for as long as you like, and if you want to bring it back when you're done, that's okay too. The bookstore is manned by members of our monthly book club, so enjoy that. Membership matters. Starting today, it's membership month until our annual meeting, February 24th. If you are interested in membership here, we have a checklist out on the countertop in the narthex. It's a do-it-yourself kind of get familiar with Unity and get familiar with Unity of Pompano. See what we do here and see if it's for you. Our bylaws ask that our members we only have one category, active members. Active members are asked to attend, to support the Unity facility here with their financial commitment, and also to support us with service. So attendance, service, and financial support is what our members provide. There are a few perks that go with that, only because we can't maintain a list other than membership, because there are hundreds of people coming and going that we send out our happenings to. But as a member, you are invited by letter every month to a prayer breakfast that Lawrence cooks, and our prayer chaplains attend, and we get to know each other. It's a random mix-up so that every time you are with a different group, and in that prayer letter it lists the names of other people in your week. Lawrence and I hold you in prayer, each of you members, 1 week, a quarter, and then in your letter you join the others in your group, usually there's 10 or so, in prayer. Now this is silent prayer on your own every morning, but it works, and it's our joy to do that. Members also get to vote. Some of you from other churches and other happenings around are familiar with the leadership obligation, responsibility to make wise decisions. So we count on our dedicated members to keep informed, and then whenever we do have any kind of big vote, you are the ones that are asked to do that. If you're not a member, you are welcome to come to everything, even our annual meeting. You just don't have voting privileges. So thank you for indulging me on that, but it's important that you understand how important membership is here, because you are the ones who collectively hold the responsibility for the organization of Unity of Pompano. There was one other thing on there, Harold. What was it? New members and... Oh, wow, a lot of you have renewed already by email. You all should have gotten an email. If you are a member and didn't get an email, please speak to Becky in the office. It means we don't have the right email for you. I think 30 or so of you have already responded with a simple reply that says renew my membership. Again, this is by the bylaws. Every year, members have to renew, because here again, we only keep a list of active members. There are sign-ups in the narthex, alphabetical. There's 3 different sheets. All you have to do is initial by your name if you want to continue your membership. Okay, next, we have unity in the community, and that's why I'm carrying around this little note. Everybody thinks it's a great idea for us to be represented up in the park, the city park. It's a big event every year. It just happens to be called Unity in the Community. So we have to take advantage of that publicity and have a booth there, a table there. We need a few people to roll out of bed on Saturday morning and help Judy get all of our table, our canopy, our handouts and so forth up to the park. So at 8:30 Saturday morning for setup, which we'd like to have you until about 11, and then the breakdown starting at 3:30 Saturday afternoon and hauling it back to the church. Judy Ebmeyer, would you stand actually so they can see you? Please see Judy. Yeah. And we could use people to stop by throughout the day, and we just stand there and welcome everybody that goes by. Okay, lastly, we have this wonderful celebration of love. You know how much Lawrence and I love each other, so we're still basking in the joy of having you all here for our wedding. So we had the bright idea of having a celebration of love. It's the day after Valentine's Day, right here in the sanctuary, 7 o'clock. We're going to get out the aisle bows, and Judy is going to decorate Fellowship Hall with the big table covers and the big chair covers, and we're going to make it a glorious celebration of love for everybody, because we know in unity to celebrate the love that we have within ourselves and for ourselves. So Lawrence is coming up with ceremony for all. If there are any of you who do want to have an actual vow renewal or commitment ceremony as part of that, please speak to that to us, and we will work that into the program as well. Tickets are only $25, and there will be no tickets at the door because we're going to dress up and have fun with this event. So go online, it's an easy registration, and get your ticket. And that is all I have to say today. I know I went way over Lawrence's record of a minute and a half. I'll do better next time. Let's greet each other, and the kids can go to Sunday school.
Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together.
Let's all sing. Weave us together,
Weave us together in unity and love.
weave us together,
Weave us together, together in love.
Oh, it's all so interesting and lovely. But when the music stops, we all sit back down. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Dina Shimmick, and I will be reading the Daily Word this morning and leading our meditation. The Daily Word for today is enrichment. Divine love blesses all that I think, say, and do. In the Hebrew Scriptures, Jacob dreamed of angels, divine thought messengers, ascending and descending, a ramp connecting heaven, the divine realm, and earth, human awareness. In his dream, God promised Jacob that the families of the earth would be blessed through him and his descendants. Upon awakening, Jacob explained, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." When I experience a spiritual awakening, I discover the divine presence, the indwelling Christ is within me, even when I do not recognize it. I open my mind and heart to the Christ presence, and my life is enriched in every possible way. Divine love blesses all that I think, say, and do. And the scripture today is from Genesis 28:16. Then Jacob woke from his sleep and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it."
Right now, as the prayer chest comes forward, we'd like to begin a time of prayer and meditation by singing Our Thoughts, Our Prayers.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness.
And now, as we center ourselves in this moment, a time of meditation together, I invite you to close your eyes and start with your breath, simply breathing in and breathing out. Allowing yourself to let go anything that you are ready to let go of in this moment. And notice how just by giving yourself permission to release, your body automatically relaxes a little bit more and your mind quiets. And as you continue to breathe in, focus on the theme for the month, grace. Remind yourself that you are grace, that you are that peace and that love. And if you can, open your mind to visualize a wide and vast ocean. Place yourself just in the middle of it, where you see nothing around, just the blue water of various shades and the calm. And amongst that ocean, picture a small cork bobbing along, just allowing. Notice the grace in that moment. The cork is not worried about where it's going or where it's been. There's no direction in sight, yet there's faith. When it's sunny out and that sun is sparkling on the water, or if there are terrible storms where that cork is bobbing up and down, not knowing which direction it may go, notice how it just allows. It floats. It is in and of itself grace. Over the next few moments, picture yourself as that cork and allow yourself to just be, to float, not having to follow or to lead, just being for the next few moments in the silence. And as you slowly find your way back to this place, know that you embody that grace. When you open yourself up to faith and source and knowing that God has only the best intentions for you and will only guide you to divinity, you can release in your everyday life and be that grace. And as we take one deep breath together, remind yourself of the grace and the beauty that comes in between where you are and where you want to be. So let's take a deep breath together and release it. And when you're comfortable, you may open your eyes.
Hallelujah. It's like the air around me, like the sunlight on my face. I feel the love of God surround me. I am touched by amazing grace. And all I ever wanted, all I ever needed, was already there. Closer than the sunlight, nearer than the air. And I breathe in, and I am filled with Spirit. It is health to my body, it is peace to my mind, and it is joy. It is joy to my soul. And I breathe out a simple prayer of thank you. And my breath becomes a song that was singing all along, that is singing everywhere. It is nearer than the air. And I breathe in, and I am filled with Spirit. It is health to my body, it is peace to my mind, and it is joy, it is joy, it is joy, joy to my soul. And I breathe out a simple prayer of thank you, thank you. And my breath becomes a song that was singing all along, that is singing everywhere. Oh, it is nearer than the air.
That's Samantha Natalie. That's the music of Michael Gotts.
Yeah, you just get to sit there and enjoy it. Wow. It's hard to stand up after that. Thank you, band, as always. We sometimes begin the year with resolutions, with goals, plans, agendas, schedules. And this year I decided we could begin this year with questions rather than answers. We started out with the White Stone ceremony where we gave you an opportunity to ask, what is my name? What is my new name? Last week we took time to look at the question that God asked Adam and Eve, where are you? And the question we're going to look at today comes from Exodus chapter 4. And Moses answered, what if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, the Lord did not appear to you? Then the Lord said to him, what is that in your hand? Now, to give you a little bit of background, Moses was in Egypt. Generations before Moses came along, the Hebrews had made their way down to Egypt because of a famine, a drought in their own land. Now, I would encourage you to go back and read the story. It's really good. And I want to put in a plug for reading through the Bible in a year. On our website, and there's also handouts in the foyer, there's a schedule that shows you how many chapters to read a day to get through the Bible in a year. And it's not a hard thing to do. How many of you have done it? Let's see. There we go. There you go. It can be done. And it's worthwhile because you'll discover things you never knew were in there. And you'll discover that a lot of times when people say it says in the Bible this, you'll find out it doesn't say in the Bible that after all. So you become a lot smarter about that. But this story about Moses is a really great story in the first few chapters of Exodus. Even if you just read that, go back and take a look at it. Because Moses' people had been enslaved in Egypt. They migrated down there to survive, and in the process, the Egyptians had enslaved them and used them as labor to build the great building projects, many of which are still standing today. And the people said, we don't want to be slaves anymore. We want to go back home. So God called Moses to be the leader of that movement. And you remember the story about the burning bush. I've preached about that before and will again. But Moses stood in front of the burning bush and he said, okay, I'm having this experience, but when I go to Pharaoh, who's the big boss, the big daddy up there, and say, oh, by the way, I'd like to take all your slaves and leave. And he's going to say, by whose authority? They're going to ask me that, and I need some information here. And that's where we got, first of all, the idea of I am. That was God's response to Moses. Who are you? I am. Then Moses began to backpedal. Okay, this is a grand experience, and now I know your name and everything, but I'm not up to the task. I can't do this. I don't have the equipment to do this. He went on and on. God countered every argument that Moses had about why he couldn't do it. And at one point, God looked at him and said, Moses, what is that in your hand? Moses said, this is just my shepherd's staff. That's all it is. Nothing more than that. And God said, throw it down on the ground. Moses threw it on the ground and it became a snake. And Moses turned around to run. That's what the scriptures say. He backed up. He retreated. And God said, Moses, pick the snake up by its tail. So he reached down and grabbed it. It turned back into his staff again. Now, just my staff turned out to be very significant because Moses used this staff to strike the rock and bring water from a rock for his people when they were traveling back home. He used this staff to hold up during a battle, and as long as he held the staff up, the Hebrews were winning. He used this staff to hold it up. You've heard the great story about the Red Sea? He held his staff out and caused the Red Sea to part, so according to the story. So this staff, which Moses said is just a piece of wood, it turned out to be very important because little is much when God is involved. So Moses went on and became the great leader of his people and brought them back to their homeland, or in that direction anyway. Moses didn't get to go, which is another story in and of itself. That's another sermon, to several sermons, as a matter of fact. So here we find something that was considered small or insignificant becoming very important. Now this paradigm goes on and on in the Old Testament. There's stories that happen over and over again. We have the story of Samson. Remember Samson, the great hero? He's usually known for his dalliance with Delilah. Samson and Delilah has been music written about that. But Samson was a hero of battle. And he was going out one day to do battle, and God said, what is in your hand? What is that in your hand? And Moses said, it's just a donkey's jawbone. What? Samson. What did I say? Well, he was there in spirit. So Samson was standing there with the jawbone of an ass. That's the story as it goes. And according to the story, he slew 1,000 enemy warriors with that jawbone of a donkey. Little is much when God is in it. Another similar story, another hero called Shamgar. You don't hear about Shamgar very often. Similar situation, he went out to do battle, and God said, "What is that in your hand?" He said, "It's my ox goad." He too was a shepherd. And he went out and slew 600 enemy warriors with his ox goad. Just this little thing. Little is much when God is in it. Elisha, who was one of the prophets, met this widow whose husband had been a prophet himself and had died, and now she and her son were destitute, and her son was about to be taken into slavery to pay their debts. And she said, "Elisha, can you help me?" And Elisha essentially said, "What is that in your hand?" And the widow said, "Just this tiny little cruse of oil. This is the only thing I have in my whole world, this right here." So Elisha said, "Okay, go in your house, get all your pots and pans, all your bottles, all your bowls, call your neighbors, have them bring their Tupperware over, and when you go into your house, close the door and start pouring the oil." And before long, she had filled every container in her house with oil out of that tiny little cruse of oil. Little is much when God is involved. And these stories go on and on in the Old Testament. There's one more that I forgot about. David. You know the stories about David who became king. David was a little boy, and Goliath had been terrorizing his people. And Spirit said to David, "What do you have? What's that in your hand, David?" And he said, "It's just a slingshot and just a little rock." Well, with that little slingshot and that little rock, David brought down the great giant warrior Goliath. Little is much when God is in it. This paradigm spills over into the New Testament as well. There's a story of Jesus sitting out on the side of a hill speaking to thousands of people, and lunchtime rolls around and the people are getting grumpy because they haven't eaten. So what are they going to do? And one of the disciples said, "Here's this little boy." And Spirit said to the little boy, "What is that in your hand?" And he had 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And out of that came enough food to feed the thousands, according to the story. Little is much when God is in it. And Scripture says, and the Gospels tell us, "Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father? But even the hairs of your head are all numbered." Spirit seems to have a fascination with little things. I love to take pictures of little things. I used to go walking through the woods. It's not so much here, but where I lived before, looking for little things. I found a patch one time. I don't know what to call them. I don't know what kind of flowers they were. They looked like little flowers. They were about that big. I mean, tiny, tiny. And I got down on my belly and took my camera and took pictures of those tiny, tiny little flowers. Just fascinated me. And also, I was in the woods one day and found this fallen log that the inside of it had rotted out. And I looked in there, and there were a million little brilliant orange toadstools or mushrooms that were just about that big inside that log, and I took a picture of them. Little things fascinate me too, but Spirit seems to be not concerned about how big something is or how important it is, how significant it is. Spirit seems to be satisfied with looking at little things, because little is much when God is involved. And when we talk about what is in our hands, sometimes life presents us with circumstances that are somewhat challenging. One of the things that we do with that is this. Okay? What is in your hand? Well, lemons. Well, if life gives you lemons. Well, there's a step beyond that I like even better. I like this one. You want to join me in that? I like that one better, yeah. So there are times when we look to see what is in our hands, and it's not something always good. But the paradigm is still true. Little is much when God is involved. Now let's bring this paradigm into modern times. Let's step out of the story line of the Bible and step into some metaphysics here. Tomorrow we have a federal holiday honoring Martin Luther King. At one point, Spirit looked at Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and said, "What's that in your hand?" And Dr. King stood in front of thousands of people in Washington, D.C. and said, "I have a dream." Little is much when God is in it. And that dream, which many people considered little, some people considered inconsequential, unimportant, that dream shook the consciousness of this country and made a historical impact like few ever have. Little is much when God is in it. In 1940, to a very poor family in Brazil, a little boy was born. His name was Edson. He was named after Thomas Edison for some strange reason. And as a little boy, he took an old dirty sock and he stuffed it full of rags and then wrapped it with some old tape that he had found, and he played soccer through the dirty streets of his hometown in Brazil. And along the way, he picked up the nickname Pele. And this poor little kid who started playing soccer with a rag soccer ball became what most, if not everybody, knows him to be as the greatest soccer player of all time. Little is much when God is in it. That's true for us today, right now. Now, few of us are going to be standing in front of a burning bush. Few of us are going to hear an auditory voice speaking to us, booming out of heaven, asking us questions. But within us, where Spirit is, in the depths of our heart, that question gets asked all the time. What is that in your hand? Because you see, I believe that every human being has a purpose for being here. And I've met so many people who haven't figured it out yet. And some people have. But I think every one of us has a purpose for being here, if nothing more than to enjoy. I've told so many people, don't go looking for something grand for you to do. If that's yours, it'll find you, trust me. Well, what if it is yours to do, to be one of the people who enjoys a sunset and a sunrise like nobody else? What if it's yours to find joy and delight in watching children play? What if it is yours to appreciate good music and good art? What if it is yours to impact the world in some way? Whatever it is yours to do, that question comes with it. What is that in your hand? Now, don't raise your hands, but let me ask you this. How many of you have ever had something before you that was yours to do and you felt inadequate to the task? Oh, I don't have the right tools. I don't have the right education. I'm not smart enough. I'm not big enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not pretty enough. Everybody's been at that place at one time or another. But you know what? I can't find anywhere in any documentation or anything in my experience where God has ever said, come back when you're enough. I challenge to find anybody who has said, here I am, Spirit, I am ready to serve and accomplish my purpose. And the voice of Spirit said, well, you're not enough. You're not big enough. You're not smart enough. You're not pretty enough. Doesn't happen. What does Spirit say when you say, here I am? Spirit says, what's that in your hand? What do you have at your disposal? What do you have within you as a part of you that you can use to do what is yours to do? Because little is much when God is in it. For some of you, what you have in your hand is your intellect. You're pretty smart. You can figure stuff out. You can use that to accomplish your purpose. For some of you, you have the capability of feeling deeply within you. That's what you have in your hand, and you can use that to accomplish the purpose for which you came here. I could go on and on. What is that in your hand? It is exactly what you need to do what Spirit has for you to do. So allow that question to reverberate within you. What is in your hand? What is that in your hand? And look at it. Don't look at it and say, this is not enough. This is too little. It's not matching up with what the world expects. Because little is much when God is in it. That's what's in your hand. So I challenge you to enter into this year, continue into this year, being open to what is yours to do, being willing to step up to Spirit and say, here I am, and take the chance on Spirit saying you're not enough, even though you may believe it. Spirit doesn't believe that. I don't believe that. I wouldn't look at one of you and say you're not enough. Here I am. What's in your hand? It's exactly what you need to be fully and completely you. I dare you. God bless you.
Little is much when God's around. And those that weren't here in 2010, in the fall of 2010, when we all said, here I am. And we took what was in our hand and we put this place together with such joy. And look at how we've thrived. And it's because you're willing to step up, and you members are willing to make a commitment to give regularly, steadily, whatever you can, whatever you're willing to put in your budget for your spiritual life. So we thank you so much for all that you give. Those that aren't members here, we appreciate you as well. We welcome you to participate and feel part of this community. So let's all hold what you have given today. Some of you give monthly and online. And just know that you are so appreciated. And think of the gift that you have given this month so far and what you have today. And let's bless it together. With a grateful heart, I acknowledge God as source of all that is. Today I declare good for myself and all others. Good is mine. Good and more good is mine. And ever increasing good is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it, I experience it, I freely give it, and it multiplies itself around me. And so it is. Amen.
This is the song that says, I am glad to receive what's for me. And it talks about an abundance of rain, but it really means an abundance of blessings. What we have all around us, in our hands, what's available to us in abundance. So let's sing together.
I can hear the sound. It's the sound of the abundance of rain. I can see the cloud filled with God's favor. It's heading this way. Heavenly raindrops fall on me as I worship you this day. My heart is glad to receive what's for me in the abundance of rain. Well, I can hear the sound. It's the sound of the abundance of rain. I can see the cloud filled with God's favor. It's heading this way. Those heavenly raindrops fall on me as I worship you this day. My heart is glad to be in the abundance of rain. Lord, you can shower your goodness, sprinkle your mercy, pour out your blessing. Lord, I'm ready. Cover me, Lord, completely, till it's light that I see has been changed by the abundance of rain. Yes. Lord, you can shower your goodness, sprinkle your mercy, pour out your blessing. Lord, I'm ready. Cover me, Lord, completely, till it's light that I see has been changed by the abundance of rain. abundance of rain. Oh, won't you open the windows of heaven, Lord? Rain on me, rain down on me. Open the windows of heaven, Lord. Rain on me, rain down on me. Open the windows of heaven, Lord. Rain on me, rain down on me. Open the windows of heaven, Lord. Rain on me, rain on me. Heavenly raindrops fall on me as I worship you this day. My heart is glad to receive what's for me in the abundance of rain.
Most of you will remember that during December we had an outreach program to give school supplies to the Imagine North Fort Lauderdale School. And we are receiving thank yous. I'm going to just read one of them. Dear Unity members, it is amazing how a box of tissues, sanitizer, and other small goodies can positively impact 24 kids and their teacher. The donated box my class received from you contained items that are so needed by my kids on a daily basis. Our box was put to use on day one. When I received it, I felt like a kid on Christmas morning, and it was so heartwarming to read the enclosed note. Knowing people on the outside of the school gate care about my babies means the world to me. Thank you so much for the supplies and for caring. The world needs more beautiful souls like you. Respectfully and with gratitude, Marilyn Garcia and 24 future scientists, 2nd grade. Thank you all. It does feel so good when we give, doesn't it? Yeah. Our chaplains are ready to give of their service to you in prayer. So if you're not familiar with Unity's affirmative prayer style, take a couple minutes and pray with them. You don't need to have a crisis. In fact, pray before you have the crisis. Ron Smith, Olga, Cynthia, with Dina, Nick, Nancy, and Melinda, all here to pray with you. Let's all stand now, and we bless each other with our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we go, God is, and all is well.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. receive your grace. Oh Lord, I will dance forevermore. Oh Lord, I receive your blessing. Oh Lord, I receive your grace. Oh Lord, I will dance forevermore. Oh Lord, I receive your blessing. Oh Lord, I receive your grace. Oh Lord, I will dance forevermore. Oh Lord, I receive your blessing. Oh Lord, I receive your grace. Oh Lord, I will dance forevermore. 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 Forevermore.
Megan,